First of all, I would like to appreciate this invitation, my participation in this very interesting and useful program, and I know I participated in this program several times. In 2019, I've been in this group in Georgia, and well, this year we had a lot of meetings in Yerevan, so I participated in the final conference in Yerevan, so I can say that it's very useful and interesting project. As one of the topics of our one of the main issues for media we see in this information, I would like just to share some ideas about the situation in this field in Armenia, because it is very actual topic, and it was very actual before these days, many decades, and I'm pretty sure that it will be the actual topic for the media in a very long period of the future. So there are a lot of ways, there are a lot of layers of misinformation and media issues in Armenia. But I've chosen only one block. Let's say it's misinformation connected, mostly connected in the Armenia's foreign policy, because this foreign policy has greatly changed last 5-6. So approximately 5 years, and I'm trying to I will try to explain the changes and how this information works. For fighting the disinformation, it's very essential, it's very important to understand the whole context, to see the regional and global situation, the main processes which are getting the object of this information. So also we know that in the whole world media has a lot of problems, financial difficulties, constant struggle for people's attention, powerful propaganda. So we have all this stuff as well in Armenia. I will not get into the details, special, just I'll try to show what is going on in Armenian media. Armenian foreign policy has changed mostly since 2020 war, and we can say that all these changes we can explain as a result of the loss which we had in 2020 war. So Armenia has begun to pursue, and after that war, we had very heavy consequences as well. In 2022, the attack in September to the different regions of Armenia, and in 2023, the complete dearmenization of the Karabakh. So Armenia tries to pursue, tries to fight, try to have more dynamic and multi-vector policy, trying to fill the security gap. And security gap. If you, I'm sure you know that the Armenia's main military ally, the Russian Federation, and CSTO, Collective Security Treaty Organization, were unable to support Armenia during this all this situation, both in 2020 and then later in 2022-23 events. The Russian peacekeepers stationed in the Karabakh were also unable to ensure the security of the Armenians, and in September 2023, about 110,000 Armenians were forced to leave Karabakh within a week. Following events, Armenia put forward a policy in this situation, foreign policy of regulating relations with all the neighbors. You know, Armenia has 4 neighbor countries, Georgia, Azerbaijan, Turkey, and Iran. And with Turkey and Azerbaijan, we didn't have any relations, diplomatic or any borders closed. since the very beginning of 1990s. For this reason, Armenian government promoted the initiative which called Kosovo Office. This project was created for neutralizing and give a different substantive meaning to so-called Zambezur corridor promoted by the Azerbaijan. I don't want to dwell on the nearly 2 years course of Armenian-Turkish negotiations. I only want to mention that this year, in August 8, in Washington, with the mediation of the United States, a document pre-signed between Armenia and Azerbaijan, and both countries explained that document as a peace era between these two countries. And also between Armenia and the United States signed the document, which was the beginning of establishing a new project, an infrastructural project, which calls TRIP, Route for International Peace and Prosperity. This project is about creating a road and infrastructure through in southeast part of Armenia, through Sunik region. So also this project will join the eastern main part of Azerbaijan through Armenian territory with the Nakhichevan autonomous republic again in Azerbaijan. And the main idea from Armenia's side is not only to solve this issue, but to have a broader and bigger infrastructural project to connect not only Azerbaijan with Nakhichevan, but also to be part of big infrastructural projects like the middle corridor, which comes from the east, from China, through Kazakhstan, through Azerbaijan to the west of Europe, through Black Sea or through Turkey, and also the part of the North-South international corridor, which is also very important, and it can join, open the roads through Persian Gulf to Black Sea. So this is the logic of these projects. And the other change is the policy of establishing closer relations with the collective West. Armenia has already adopted a law declaring the desire to join the European Union. Accordingly, many interpret this policy of Armenia as a change of geopolitical orientation towards the West. So this is one of the points of criticizing Armenia, one of the points where there is not only the criticism against this policy, but also very easy ways of disinformation. So some main flows of this information is about this policy and about this policy. Of course, these events are actively discussed in Armenian media, and the main foreign policy discourse is formed around them. This is understandable, it couldn't be otherwise, as the issue concerns Armenia's existential security. If we try to broadly characterize the media discourse on this topic, we can form several content groups. It's very just how I see these groups in Armenian media. The discourse of the authorities, the discourse of the opposition, the discourses of certain public groups which seem independent but somehow fit within the frameworks of the first two.
Recording in progress.
And it starts or ending. And incomprehensible position, groups that they have incomprehensible position. The main axis of the authorities discourse is peace. We have managed, what do they say? We have managed to get out of a difficult situation and have brought peace to the country. The axis of opposition's discourse is the failure of the authorities, which is the cause of the defeat, and establishing peace under these conditions is impossible. So this is not a peace, it's a capitulation. So this is the other side of approach of the situation. The position of the third group at first glance is against both the authorities and the opposition, but doesn't offer any other solution or alternative. So it's interesting that the opposition also doesn't offer a solution for any alternative of the situation which we had right now. The fourth discourse, in my understanding, is truly incomprehensible, which is closest to the group of society, which is the, we can say, indifferent majority or the passive majority. So we know that maybe more than half, in some researches about 80-85% of the society are very passive towards the political shifts, towards the political situation. So we can also call it indifferent majority. So they do not make a big influence on societal or political processes in the country. The struggle of these groups, especially the first two, in the media has long surprised all permissible limits. There are a lot of accusations on corruption, accusations directed to former authorities, and they sometimes use very, very negative language. Yesterday I wrote some examples that it can be very, very really negative and bad language. So I say media, but here we should mainly talk about the social networks, the platforms, which are not journalism in the classical sense, but have an audience, great big audience, and form and shape the social opinion. So they have, anyway, we have some influence on social opinion. That is, polarization of society is taking place through the media, where ideas, tactics, concerns about Armenia's future, solutions, the need for public solidarity are not discussed. The groups are guided exclusively by accusing each other. Here, however, another question, I think it's very important. Has there ever been a situation where the authorities and the opposition were in solidarity, when opposition media did not criticize the authorities and vice versa? As far as I am familiar with the history of Armenian media, we have never had such a situation. Therefore, it is possible to exclude the informational struggle and the polarization of society around political issues. The only question we can discuss, not only, but mainly the most important question that we can discuss, is the following. Are people's personal rights not violated, or is the media not using means prohibited by law, incitement of hatred, discrimination, hate speech, etc.? Does everyone have the opportunity to express their opinion? So we can jointly say it's a kind of pluralism, the issue of pluralism, and this is the most important thing we need to think about that. These foreign policy transformations have also led to the activation of external media interference. If previously external propaganda flows mainly came from Azerbaijan and Turkey, now the Russian one has been added to them, and moreover, anti-Armenian propaganda in the first two groups, I mean the Turkey and Azerbaijan, has partially decreased. So we can see that the change, that the anti-Armenian propaganda did have a little positive situation. I mean only this some 3, 4, maybe 5 months. And also we see that the Russian propaganda against Armenia is very, very high. Although at the official level, the two countries, Armenia and Russia, state that they have good relations. The opposite approach is observed in the media. Moreover, anti-Russian propaganda, it's very rare in Armenian media. They are isolated cases, while in Russian media it is quite frequent. Here to the media, we must also add the platforms, Telegram, Facebook, TikTok, and so on. But the main source, one of the most popular and the biggest source is Telegram, different channels where they spread a lot of very sometimes absurd, sometimes very unrealistic topics about the Armenia, and not only about the Armenia, but sometimes about the not only the Armenian government, which we can understand in any way, but about the Armenia in all, about the history of Armenia, about the Armenian population, Armenians in all, and so on. The word criticism quite modestly represents the content. In reality, it is not the criticism, but the harsh and very tough propaganda. Sometimes, of course, we can see that the axis it's not very direct. Sometimes it gets up, and sometimes it gets down. But the main model is main part is negative, and that's bad propaganda against the army. Under these conditions, we all must try to find some solutions. So the main prescription perhaps remains the same: fact-checking platforms, media literacy, encouragement of critical thinking in the society, and so on. The Armenian government also, for its part, has created concept for combating disinformation. There are a lot of parts, a lot of things that the government had to do. They have different plans and projects, and they try to do that. But the effectiveness of all this initiative is quite low. So therefore, there is a need to find new solutions and new opportunities. Mostly, first of all, I mean the fact-checking process. Of course, there is no doubt that it's the most important approach. We need that everywhere and always. But from the other side, we have to understand that the fact-checking process is very time-consuming. It's very complicated. And we cannot anticipate that everyone, every group in society or people can do that. So mostly they just consume what they get in their phone. But also we need that fact-checking projects. I'm sure not only in Armenia, because at least you will have something against the disinformation. So something that rejects that disinformation in facts. About the media literacy, as I know, we have media literacy projects over 25 years, so it's a very big time. We have in Armenia different organizations. With some of them you are familiar, you met them, you visited them. They really work very hard and they do a great job, but at the same time we see that the whole societal picture, that we cannot say that the society's level of media literacy is getting higher comparing with other phases. So we need to make some corrections. We need to, in my opinion, in my approach, to work closely, not to increase the whole society's media literacy, but to work very focused on different social groups. So pay attention to the social groups to increase this media literacy in a media sphere. I don't mean only the journalists, but also different groups that are connected to this sphere. It's very important to work very hardly in this field with the editors of media resources, because they are the first and the most important important part of the media producer, and they have a lot of responsibilities. So what we have, international assessments of the situation of freedom of speech in Armenia. So Freedom House, according to Freedom House data, Armenia ranks 54th for this year and is considered as a party free. In assessment by Reporters Without Borders, Armenia ranked 34 in 2025. This represents some progress, as it was 43 in previous year. How they describe the situation of media in Armenia is just a short quotation. The polarization of the media mirrors that of the political scene. Many media outlets are close to political leaders who emerged after 2018, while others remain loyal to former oligarchs. Only a handful of media demonstrate independence. And also, I suggest to pay attention for this topic. Maybe the one of the most important things that we have to demand from the media is transparency. So every media resource should have should be very transparent and publish the financial resources, the financial sources that they have. Who is the owner of the media? Is it a private or is it a private organization, media resource, or it's from big consortium or something else? So this transparency is very important because, first of all, before reading any article, media consumer person should have know everything about the resource which he is going to consume. So it has to be very clear for the people. There are also another big issue. Again, yesterday I said something about that. There are a number of judicial administrative processing against the journalists, media outlets, and posts made on social networks in Armenia. Most of these are under articles concerning insult and defamation. This is according to Civil Codex of Armenia, 1087, the article 1087.1, the number of the Civil Codex. This insult and defamation, it's primarily to administrative liabilities. So there is no criminal judgment about the insulting and defamation. It's completely civil. It has been changed in 2010, and now we have the same law. So it's not only in my opinion, but also a lot of majority of Armenian media experts count that this is a very good and positive change that had made 15 years ago, and we're still making it. About a month ago, two bloggers who had a podcast were detained for 2 months for public swearing and insult. This is also an important issue because from one hand, there is a freedom of speech. They can explain what they think. And for the other side, there are rights of the other individuals who used about whom they used very insulting wording. The authority, of course, has been accused of restricting the media activity, but at the same time, there is another position also, like people can say, I am insulted, and how I can defend my rights, and he asks to the authorities, to the police, to the procuracy, to take some steps for respecting his dignity. So this is the main part of the foreign policy, and some issues connected, media issues connected to foreign policy of the Armenia. And about propaganda, it's really very hard work. I have not very deep, but I have enough experience how to fight against that propaganda, the rejection, the counter-arguments, the other news. It's really very difficult to fight. But from the other side, we have to do that. And in my opinion, also it's very important this kind of discussions, this kind of events, because propaganda in a great meaning is very similar, but in the details, every country has a lot of differences. Every country, every expert has his own even personal experience. It's very useful to put all this together, to share this experience with colleagues and to try to find some solutions. So I believe, unfortunately, the propaganda will be part of our lives in the future. So to find the methods of fighting against that, it's very important. So thank you. If you have any questions about these issues, I can answer.
And about that project in the south of Armenia, does this idea of building a road through Azerbaijan and Armenia to Turkey, does this evoke some negative emotion towards part of the society, including the opposition, who are accusing the government of capitulation? So do they present this project, which allegedly brings peace and trade to the region, as a sign of maybe submission to the aggressor side?
It's very important and very good question. Yes, we have such ideas that the government wins the war, and now they have to take some steps. But from the other side, we see when we monitor the media, we have meetings, contacts. We see, at least in social media, it's not a very sharp issue. So maybe I think that the part of society, even if they do not explain that, do not talk about that, they are happy that this situation is solved, that the roads will be open, that it's a peace now, no one dies in the borders, so there is no any, we do not have any soldier killed or injured. It's already about 2 years in our borders. We have a very big border with Azerbaijan. It's about 1,000 kilometers. So it's a very positive situation in this field. But of course, and from the other side, there are a lot of concerns about the future. Who knows what will happen after 5 years, 2 years, when the Trumps you probably have Trump's term, the term ends after 2 or 3 years. So concerns are a lot, and also we don't have very bright, very active signals from the society that they are completely unhappy about this process.
So, first of all, thank you very much for interesting presentation in general to all of my colleagues. I'm just wondering how you see Armenian media, what is happening in Georgia, the current developments, and do you consider this is like, for Armenians, like, what kind of impact it might have?
Well, again,
national first.
Yeah, again, very nice and interesting question. Mostly, I can say that the attitude towards Georgia, the sentiments, public sentiments about Georgia is positive. So there are some concerns that maybe Georgia has some decline from the European, from the democratic process, which you had before these last several years. But also it's very quiet, it's very positive. If they write anything or about Georgia, about the inner policy in a situation, in domestic situation in Georgia, it's very balanced without any negative reactions. I don't remember on any negative in the media again a negative situation about the Georgia, mostly. But also there is some concerns that in Georgia this transformation of changing of this policy in Georgia could have some impacts also. I mean, not positive impacts also for Armenia. But that's not how to say. I'm trying to be more precise. But that's not very sharp and not very active, and obviously it's very balanced. Quiet, but very. Thank you. Well, welcome. So if there are no questions, thank you.